AI leading your business, or are you leading AI? Artificial intelligence is already changing how businesses operate, make decisions, and compete. But here's the real question for leaders today. Who's really in control? Welcome to Vision 2026, giving expertise a voice. Today we're joined by one of Africa's leading voices on artificial intelligence, Johan Steyn, who works with organizations to help them understand and implement human-centered AI responsibly. If you're a business leader, entrepreneur, or executive trying to understand how AI will shape the future of your industry, this is a conversation you won't want to miss. We'll explore why AI isn't just a technology conversation. It's a leadership conversation. How organizations can move from AI curiosity to real implementation. And how business leaders can turn AI into a strategic advantage instead of a disruptive threat. Join us Thursday, 8 a.m. South African time on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So who is really making the decisions? You or AI? Follow Vision 2026, giving expertise a voice. Why? Because the world is changing faster than most people are prepared for. And those who listen in, learn, and adapt early are the ones who will lead.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Artificial intelligence, AI strategy, and AI for business. Well, that's already changing how business operates and makes decisions. The question is, are you making the decisions or is AI making them for you? Today, we're going to be talking to Johan Steyn. He's a specialist in AI. He's seen as one of the forefront people in South Africa who actually talks about AI to big business. And we're so happy to have him here today. So welcome, Johan. Great to have you here. We're also joined by Russell John Fagan, Wilhelm Lombard, and Glenn Lees Jones today as our co-hosts. So I'm going to ask them quickly to introduce themselves. Let's start with Russell. Russell, please introduce yourself.
Morning, David. Morning, Johan. My name is Russell Fagan, or Russell John Fagan, as my wife insists I use my full name nowadays. Orbspec, the company that I own, focuses on business consulting and development, reputation management, but my main focus is sales and training people how to sell. You can't go to university and study sales as a subject and get a degree. And most people say or use the cliches that salespeople are born. I'm of the opinion that salespeople can be taught how to sell. Anybody can sell, and if you look at small business people, you are all selling something. You're all salesmen. You're selling your company, you're selling your brand, and you're selling your product, be it a service, whatever. So I think sales or business owners should understand that they're all actually salespeople. Thanks, David. We are looking forward to your message.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Russell. Yeah, Russell will be asking Johan some tough questions regarding from a sales point of view. Let's go to Glenn. Morning, Glenn. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Can you just quickly introduce yourself?
Thanks, David, and good morning, gentlemen. Great to be on board again. And I do life and business coaching. I also do counseling and mentoring, but I like to call myself your personal locksmith, simply because I really believe that every single one of us has incredible, amazing potential locked up inside of us. And I hope you unlock that potential and step into destiny. And that's me, Johan. Really looking forward to this. Thank you very much, David.
Fantastic. Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, Glenn's going to be asking about purpose and be asking Johan some very pertinent questions about the purpose behind AI and how it can help us. Let's go to Wilhelm. Morning, Wilhelm. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, David, and the rest of the team. It's wonderful to be here with you guys. Yeah, I run the Growth Percolator. We help CEOs, whether their culture or leadership system are actually ready for growth. And then we fix the pressure points before scaling. And that's that. Looking forward.
Fantastic. Well, Wilhelm's going to ask about growth and team performance from Johan. So welcome, Johan. And it's so good to have you here. I met Johan at a meeting called Boardroom Connect, and I was blown away by his presentation. And the first thing I did, straight after the meeting, I went to Johan. I said, Johan, please come onto the show. We really people need to hear what you have to say about AI. And so that's basically why Johan's here today. And it's really a pleasure and an honor to have you here. And thanks for taking time off your busy schedule, to come and actually just share your wisdom with us. So thanks, Johan. Just a quick note from myself, Vision 2026 was actually born basically 3 years ago. We had Vision 2023, then 24, 25, and now we've got 26. And here we give experts a voice, because only through actually speaking and actually being heard do you create confidence. And when you've got confidence, guess what? Then you grow not only your own personality and your own person, but you also grow your business. So that's why we're here. We're here to actually share knowledge and wisdom with you so that we know and understand what we can do in our lives. So welcome, Johan. Great to have you. I'm going to hand over the floor to you. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was lovely meeting you the other day, and this is a wonderful opportunity. And to all the colleagues on the screen, I can promise you this: if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you. We all have BS filters, and if you start winging it, people will know. And it's also good to know you don't know all that much. So I look forward to your thoughts and your insights from your years of experience and expertise. David, so yeah, just for the audience, also thank you all for being here. A little later on, I'll just share a link in the chat to my email address and to my daily newsletter, and would love for you to connect with me. I'm not an AI advocate. In other words, my job is not to tell every business you need AI, because in my 15 years of doing it, I've been in tech all my life, but in the last 15 years, I've seen more and more that companies don't necessarily really need it. The challenge I always ask business leaders, in your view, what is the end goal of digitization, automation, AI? And there are a number of correct answers, like less customer churn through predictive analytics, for instance, more insights on our competitors, more insights on our customers in particular, or potential customers, lowering operational costs. All of those are true. But at the risk of really oversimplifying it, in my view, the end goal is achieving efficiency and effectiveness. And then the question is, do you need technology? And do you need AI to achieve it? And as leaders, we cannot answer that question if we don't know the problems that our business faces. And we also won't know if we're not close enough to the people who work for us. And something that I'm really seeing, especially over the last 3 or 4 years, is how companies that start implementing AI, it reveals how bad leadership is in many companies. Lazy. We think the AI will fix our culture, our bad leadership style, our people who fear naturally that they might lose our jobs. That is the elephant in the room. The moment you hear robot, AI, chatbot, will I still have a job in a year from now? And of course, people will naturally resist any initiative that they are not prepared for and that they don't feel their insights into the process was heard. So I'm going to just tell a few stories now. David, you've heard some of these. I tell these stories at most events because for me it rings so true. The first one is about that TV series Undercover Boss. I don't think it's on TV anymore. I can't even stream it, so I just downloaded it illegally and then I delete it immediately. So I don't think that's illegal. But for those of you who may not have seen it or might not remember it, is what they would do is take a chief executive of a large corporate, they would disguise him or her, and then let them work in the field, on the factory floor, in the shop, or wherever the so-called normal people or worker bees are working for them. Because often, as you know, in these big corporates, the leadership are so far removed from the actual work happening. I would say understandably so. If you like, I mean, some of the banks I've worked for, they might have 60,000 people. So how do you get the board to know what people on the floor, on the ground, in the branch is doing. And the only way you can do it as a leader is to be an undercover boss. Time is tough. I know we're busy, but once a month, if you're a banker and a banking leader, for instance, go to the branch on a Saturday, disguised, put on your baseball cap. Don't let the people think the boss is here. Stand in the queue and listen to the customers. Because, I mean, I don't know of any of us who love going to a branch ever, especially on a Saturday morning. Consume your own products is the second thing I want to say. It's so easy to say we have a chatbot. We have a very automated contact center. We have a great website. But do you actually chat to the chatbot yourself if you're the boss? Do you phone your own contact center every now and then? Because you might be surprised what kind of quality your customers experience. And there's this story, it's in the public domain, when Nedbank's new CEO started, I think it's about 2 years ago or so, a year and a half. He came from ABSA. And on the first day of his job as CEO of Nedbank, he went to a branch to open an account. And apparently that day already he realized what a big job he signed up for. Now, no problem with Nedbank. I think all of our big banks struggle with this. A lot of our big, especially legacy big corporations, struggle with this. But consume your own products. Be close to where the work is actually happening. The two things that came out of that undercover boss, every episode, I loved it, is number one, once that executive is actually spending time where the work is happening, they realize what fundamental challenges the business is facing. Things that you will not get in your board pack. Because as we report up in the chain, we obviously flavor it with making it look better for our own job's sake. So the real stuff happening is very rarely known at an executive level. So that's the first thing, more problems than you imagine. The second thing, which I love, is that there are people working for you. Let's call it in lower level jobs. It could be administrators, it could be security, it could be the cleaners that might have ideas that no one will ever hear because they don't have an opportunity, but they might have ideas that will revolutionize your business. So, as time permits, consume your own products, be close to where the work is happening, not to be like a schoolmaster or a headmaster looking over their shoulders. Be there as a good leader with empathy and wisdom to help them. Our job is to remove challenges from the people who work for us so that they are better at the work they do, which will result in revenue and business success more and more. This stuff is so common sense. I'm often shocked that I have to tell this story to all the business leaders I deal with. We forget these things. One of my favorite stories, and David, you heard this one, and it's probably going to sound a bit stupid, but wherever I tell the story, people will speak to me months later and say, that's the one thing I remember. So about a year ago, one of our large hospital groups, they have about 83 hospitals nationally, if I remember correctly. They wanted me to come in and help them automate the front desks or the reception area of the hospitals. Reception is a very automatable area. It's lower value tasks, very admin driven, very repetitive kind of work. Still important, but fairly automatable, if you would. So I walked into this executives, very excited about Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys. No, I just was asking if you can still hear me. My screen made funny things. Okay, cool. So I asked these executives this one question. Have you actually spent some time with these people whose jobs you want to automate? And you can guess what the answer was. No, because they're 15 levels below us. And I said, I cannot help you if I don't spend time with them, because I've seen this fail in many businesses, these AI kind of initiatives and automation. Decisions are made at an exec level, as they should, often based on the advice from a consulting firm, which you shouldn't. And I worked for many of them because they are there to land and expand and to build the hell out of you forever. You still need expertise. So get expert vendors in, but work with the small niche ones because they have so much to lose that they will do a good job. And Accenture, PwC, KPMG, we are nothing to them, not from a global perspective at least. So I got their permission to spend some time one day with these administrators over a coffee, very relaxed. There were some issues that they faced that technology could easily fix, looking for information, copy and pasting stuff onto spreadsheets and the like. That whole workflow has been automatable for probably 20 years already with technology. And here's where the story is going to sound funny, maybe. This specific group of administrators in this specific hospital, which is their head office as well, told me that one of their biggest problems is that the printer is too far from them. And they said on average, for every patient that walks in, they had to walk to the printer 3 times to scan documents, to pick up printouts and the like. And I did something a bit risky the next week because now the execs were waiting for my initial findings. And I printed a phrase in big font on an A4 page. I folded it in half. When I walked in, they were super excited. What can AI do for us? And I handed out the documents. I said, don't open it yet. And at the right time, I said, as an AI expert, blah, 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 here is my recommendation. And when they opened the page, it read, bring the printer closer. That was my recommendation. Silly story, but here's the point. If we're not close enough to the people who work for us or our customers, we do not know what problems to fix and how to help our people. Often, the most common sense, quickest and cheapest way to fix a problem is not technology. It's definitely not artificial intelligence. And why do I start this short talk with all of these stories? Because if you've already made up your mind, you need to AI stuff. Because of all the stuff you hear in the news on LinkedIn, your competitors are doing it. And God forbid, which I see a lot, the boss said we should AI stuff. So it's a mandate. Now we're going to look at AI stuff that makes no sense. But if my KPIs and my promotional opportunities and my bonus depend on it, I will AI the hell out of everything. So close to your business, remember, bring the printer closer. What's the most common sense way to fix a problem, which you'll only know if you're close to your people? Consume your own products. And then just one last story, and then I'll make a few more comments, and then let's open up for some questions. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk to some extent, because I think he is probably one of the smartest people on earth and probably one of the most evil narcissistic beings that ever lived. That's probably why he's so successful. I don't know. Maybe it's Pretoria Boys High, but doesn't matter. His biography that was written by Walter Isaacson, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, is a must read. And the book is obviously called Elon Musk. Now, Isaacson is often on CNN. He wrote the biography of Steve Jobs and others. It is a fantastic book to read. Almost exactly in the middle of the book, there was a story that changed my way of thinking about how I consult with clients. So it's about this Tesla electric car gigafactory. And as you know, they have many of these gigafactories across the world producing these Tesla cars. They are probably the most technology-infused, AI-infused factories in the world. And typical Elon Musk, he walks the floor, undercover boss. He famously sleeps on the floor in the factory. He walks across the production line and speaks to every leader and every engineer. Why are you doing this? Why is it taking so long, etc.? Probably why he's so successful. But that's also a boss breathing down your neck. Any case, here's the story. One day when he was on the factory floor, I think it was in the Texas Gigafactory, he noticed that the whole production line is standing still. And at the end, there was a car or a frame of a car that's not moving. And he walked up to the engineers and he said, what's happening? Because the whole production line is not moving. And they said that there is a robotic arm that fixes a bolt to the frame of the car, and the arm is broken. So they're waiting for engineers to come and fix it. And then he asked them, firstly, how much does this kind of robot arm cost? And I said something like $300,000. And then he said, and how long does it take the arm to attach this bolt? And I said about 20 seconds. Elon Musk grabs a wrench and he attaches the bolt himself, and it took him 5 seconds. Then he mandated all of the leaders on the production line to de-automate the business. Now, that's a phrase you will never hear when we talk about AI and technology and automation. We typically hear automate everything, chatbots everywhere. And what he said to his leaders, in every part of the production line where it's quicker, faster, and cheaper for a human to do the job, take the robots out. Love that story. So this is my advice to my customers. If you look at a specific workflow, now, one area that is ripe for AI and automation is finance. HR as well, probably, obviously your customer-facing tools, whether it's chatbots or the contact center, there are a number of it. But if you think of who's doing what in that production line, if you would, where do they need help, and what can only they do? There are many things that automation, we talk about robotic process automation, which is very good for repetitive admin stuff like assessing invoices, extracting data from documents, and so forth. And I'll give you an example shortly. The technology in many cases is just quicker, more accurate than humans, and it doesn't go on leave or on strike or maternity leave or whatever. So use the tech where you can. Then there are areas in that workflow where, because of wisdom and especially experience, only a human can do it. So the philosophy I have is, can we use technology to alleviate the lower level tasks that our people are performing where possible, so that they can focus more on revenue generating work? And that's a careful process. It's not that difficult. The ideation that I do with customers, and this is so simple, but I invite you to do it with your teams as well. We sit in a boardroom with a whiteboard. We have 2 separate sessions. The first session I call Imagine We Could. The second session I call In Order To. And just briefly, this is how it works. And actually, it is normally good if the boss is not there, because people will not be honest. If I can be a little bit blunt, I try and get the team I work with to bitch and moan about their jobs. What is the stuff that's irritating the crap out of you? And that is normally way too many emails, way too many meetings, and I struggle to find information. Where is that template again? And which SharePoint folder do I find it? So a big part of our day is about meetings, emails, and finding information. And then I would typically, based on that session, draw a very simple pie chart for that specific team. So for instance, it could be the finance team. What do you spend time on a daily basis typically? And then we look at the spread. Now, a big part of that spread is normally admin, reporting, etc. It won't go away, but if we can diminish that time somewhat, so that the real value-adding, revenue-generating work that people probably are more keen to do in any case can increase. That is the philosophy behind it. So the first session is Imagine We Could. The second session, In Order To, is where we map all the bitching and moaning, because a lot of it might not be relevant. That's okay, but that first session, people should be free. It's not about AI, automation. Can we afford it? Do we have the tools? Do I look stupid? I don't care. I sometimes think we should have that meeting later in the day so we can have a bottle of scotch and we can just be honest. Okay. Second, In Order To, which is now the business case. Because the Imagine We Could must map to something that makes more money or loses less money. Because remember, everyone, this whole thing we're talking about today is fundamentally about money, revenue generation, and the like. The chief financial officer, in my view, is the main owner of an AI initiative, because if it does not impact the balance sheet and the income statement, who gives a shit whether there's 5 chatbots or 6 chatbots? So don't get blinded by the tech stuff. All right, so let me just quickly see what else I wanted to say. You might not need AI as a business yet. Yes, use ChatGPT, use Copilot. There's a lot we can talk about it. If you really know the challenges of the people working for you, if you are close enough to what they do, you probably need Excel, and that's it. It's one of the most powerful tools ever created. Now, I don't even know how to do VLOOKUPs and stuff anymore because the AI does it for me. But you as a business will probably have so much data isolated in different silos that are not talking to each other to give you insights. And I'm going to end with this. Let me also quickly say a little bit of marketing.
Johan, you've muted yourself.
It's funny. I sent the chat and then I got muted. That's fine. Thanks for saying that. I'm trying to think what I was saying. Can you remember, David? I
Yes,
get all over the
we're
show.
going to put up your contact details. So we,
Yeah.
You were
But just
saying a
before
little bit of marketing.
yeah, but before that, do you really need AI? Oh, this is what I wanted to say. Always start with your back office first, your operations, your business functions. Look for efficiency and effectiveness. Once that is more mature, look at your front office because there are so many benefits of using AI and predictive analytics on your customers' data. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. The difference between automation and AI is automation is doing the rote work, the repetitive work, the admin work. It doesn't think, it doesn't plan. It's good for maybe payment allocations, reading invoices, etc. But AI is about looking into the future. If you have the right data and you put a number of scenarios to the data. So for instance, if you're a supply chain company, I've got one customer, they have 300 trucks. They mostly deliver to perishables to Woolies, Pick n Pay and others. Now, if they are 15 minutes late for a book delivery, they get a massive penalty and the truck is turned back. Now, if you take weather data, Google traffic data, if you look at the driver's performance, if you look at the state of the truck from a service point of view, etc., you can actually autonomously plan the 300 trucks and where they need to go and who's best to deliver that specific shipment. And if there is a problem on the N1, it reroutes the driver autonomously. It also contacts the customer and say the driver might be 5 minutes late, not 15. Will you accept the shipment still? So efficiencies and effectiveness. So predict the future. What is the one thing you wish you could see in the future based on your competitors, based on your customers, and how can AI predict? Now, AI makes mistakes. So let it do the grunt work. Let it show you patterns in data you might not have considered. But then take your wisdom and your business experience on top of that data and make the right kind of decisions. Feels to me like I've been preaching, but I'm going to pause there and drink some water, and I'd love to hear all the difficult questions that I might not be able to answer.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, I love that story about the move the printer closer. I think that really brings it down to listening. I mean, I remember my uncle. He used to say to me that he was a CEO of a number of engineering companies here in Gauteng. And he used to say to me, he used to be able to do every person's job within the engineering company. And he made it his task to know every single job. So in other words, when he went to actually see the person, he could first of all see if they were doing it incorrectly or correctly. And second of all, if they had to show them something, he could do it. So he could actually do it better than they could. And I think that was just amazing learning for me as a child. I remember him telling me that. So he said, know the work that you give to other people to do. Know how to do it better than they know.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Johan. That's really, really important. I've got a question though. Where is AI already influencing leadership without executives realizing it?
So David, firstly, as individuals and consumers, AI is manipulating us already now, mostly through social media. And so as an example, you might have heard the story, you might have experienced it, where you sit with a friend over a beer or a coffee and you talk about mountain biking. And then tomorrow there's a mountain biking ad on your Facebook feed. Yes. Because it's listening all the time. We are under it's almost Orwellian, and I love Orwell, and I love 1984, and it's not scaremongering, but the more AI advances, the more we're heading to that world. Big Brother, right speak. One of the things Orwell wrote that I love is, and remember, he wrote 1984 in 1948, and he spoke about the tally screen, because I don't really think there were TVs yet. But in the book, the TV or the tally screen could watch you. And one of the things he said in 1948 is, what if the TV I'm watching is watching me back? Which is the world we live in. So I think as individuals, and of course as leaders, our perception about the world, about politics, about the industry we work in, is built on our biases, and we are all biased. I don't think it's wrong to be biased. It's wrong to not know you have biases. So our view of people, that could be certain genders, certain ethnicities, certain age groups, as leaders are influenced by AI already. And sometimes we must just switch the bloody thing off. Spend time with your kids, prepare a meal, and just climb a tree. My son is 12. I keep on telling him, until you've fallen out of a tree, you have not grown up yet. So that's one way of saying it. I think the other way, I think, David, is the underlying fear that people have, that leaders included, because leaders might feel, maybe I'm a chartered accountant, I'm very smart in finance, CFO, but all this AI stuff, I don't know what it is, and naturally as humans, we will push it aside because we don't know. So I think our perceptions as leaders, our perceptions of the work our people are doing, the other big thing, and I'll just end the answer for now with that, is the great ability and risk of manipulation. Not just our customers, because if you have the right kind of data, like that, if you're in the Pick and Pay and Woolies, what would we call that queue just before the tills, where there's shaving blades and batteries?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's the impulse buying queue or whatever, because we almost always walk out with stuff that we did not plan to buy when we walked in. Now, we can do it online as well. If I have enough data on you through my chatbot, etc., I can really manipulate you into buying stuff you probably don't need. But if we have a lot of data on the people working for us, for instance, we might look for trigger words in the emails they send. We can, through their communication, pick up if they are a churn possibility, they are unhappy. We might pick up if they are leaking data. Now, some of those things are not necessarily bad, but we can really, the temptation to manipulate and spy on people through data for leaders, I think, is immense. And the temptation to do it is super immense. So that's some of the things I hope I've answered the question, David.
No, thank you so much. I've got one more question. How can leaders distinguish between AI hype and a real competitive advantage?
Don't be stupid. That's point number one. Read widely, and don't just listen to technology vendors or technology conferences or books. They are valuable. Be close, again, to the people doing the work. Be a good citizen. Listen to people as a parent, maybe as a sibling, as a partner, because that fear will increase tremendously in everyone. And if I could be super blunt, and forgive me, don't be AI bevolk. So in other words, everything is not AI. Be a good leader, don't be influenced. And one of the biggest things is fear of missing out. My competitors are doing it. They've got a chatbot, so we need a chatbot. To do what? What is the end picture? You might not need a chatbot because they are as dumb as anything. Anyone who's worked with a chatbot. So read the right kind of books. And also when you look at, so something I've done, David, is obviously I need to know what's happening in AI. I cannot afford my clients knowing new tools and stuff, and I don't. I've written a little agent in Google Gemini, which is fairly easy to do. You can do it in ChatGPT and others as well. I've identified 500 sources on what's happening in AI. So that's Google News, Google Scholar, BBC, etc., etc., etc. And then on this Monday morning, those 500 sources and the news from the last week only is sucked into the AI. Then based on the parameters I gave it, specific keywords, my specific area of interest, etc., it compiles a 4-page high-level report of what's happened in the last week with links to the articles. Wow. Point I'm making, it's easier than ever, despite all the noise and all the emails, to keep on upskilling yourself. Listen to people who are contrarian, not just people who are super excited about AI. Form your own view, and it's easy to do it because that's how we mature and how we keep on educating ourselves as leaders.
Sure. Wow, you've just given me a fantastic hint on how to actually expand and grow my business. So, wow, thanks for that, Johan. I'm going to definitely do that, but pertaining to what I do. Fantastic. Wow, that's a big takeaway for me. I'm going to hand over to Glenn. Glenn's got a few questions for you, and then we'll go around the room. Glenn?
Fantastic. Thanks, David. Appreciate that. Johan, everything that you've spoken about today is just so much for me about purpose and leadership, and specifically around servant leadership. Just incredible. And my first question actually leads into this, and you've effectively answered by giving the talk, but I'd like to ask the question in any case that you can give a direct answer to it. And the question is simply, many organizations will treat AI as a technology issue. So why do you believe it's fundamentally a leadership issue?
Yeah, and you've just touched on something so important, Glenn, because everyone I deal with think it's tech. It is. But often the leadership of the firms I deal with have almost outsourced all of this AI technology stuff to either their technology team or to their vendors. They're not involved at all. And what often happens is that they don't realize the massive impact that this technology will have on their business. Now, what I've seen, because globally, about 73% of AI initiatives fail. Globally, after a hell of a lot of money and effort. And there are some simple reasons, and it's almost never the tech. It's people. It's what we think it can do, can't do. It's what leaders were told by when somebody flew them to Silicon Valley and IBM or who knows what, and they came back and let's AI everything. The ownership is with the leaders. Leaders have to rapidly educate themselves, not as technologists. Firstly, get to know the lingo. What is AI? What's machine learning? What's Internet of Things? Just because people will pull wool over your eyes with all the terms they throw around. You need to know what it is. You need to know the financial impact. So the curve I've often seen is initially, there's quite a lot of money spent. If I think of a big corporate, for instance, on purchasing the AI tools and licenses, the implementation, hopefully some change management, which almost never happen. People are just told, here's a new tool, you better use it or you're fired. And then the culture changes so much and so quickly that you almost break your business through AI. People actually become so inefficient because they are forced to use a tool. We've all seen it. I mean, I use Microsoft Copilot a lot. I train a lot on it. And if you use it right, it's phenomenal. But I have a lot of clients that say it's so difficult to do it. I'm just going to do it myself, like I've always done it. It's just easier. So keep your common sense. And you talked about servant leadership, and we cannot overestimate that importance. If you're a crappy leader, AI, like I alluded to earlier, will show it even more and more. Be on the ground, work with your people, alleviate their fears, and increase your own knowledge about this tech and where to use it or not. I said a lot. Glenn, I hope I answered the question some way.
Absolutely. In fact, I'd like to take exactly what you said, like frame it and copy it and give it to all people that I coach, because it's so important. Okay, my next question. When you use the term human-centered AI, what does that actually mean for a CEO or board member or an executive team, for that matter?
No. Look, I call myself a human-centered AI, what do I call it, expert or something. Because I'm so scared of using expert, because maybe it's because I'm in my 50s now. Every day I realize how little I know. I wish I knew this when I was 20. But if we think of everything we do in life is obviously we and other humans. Think of, and I often go back to evolutionary history, and I know people have different views on that, but Homo sapiens have been around, well, between 500 and 300,000 years. The reason why we became the dominant species is because of our frontal cortex, our language ability, our articulation ability, tool making, and other things. And then we became the cancer on the planet. So what does a body do with cancer? It kills the body, or the body kills the cancer. I don't know where we will be in 100 years in this planet. In any case. So we are tribal. I don't care how many Zoom calls we do. If I want to trust you, I want to sit with you face to face. When we just have a chat face to face, without knowing it, I pick up thousands of micro expressions in your face. We excrete a smell, a hormonal smell, etc. So I will, for some reason, will know whether I can trust you or not. And often we are wrong. First impressions are not always correct. But if I don't feel safe with you, if you're not part of my tribe, it's nothing to do with ethnicity, etc., but you are a person like me, and we are going to positively contribute to each other. Unless those things happen, we can't work together. And you can't do that on Zoom either or in a chatbot. So it always starts with the humans, because all of our customers are humans as well. All of the people working for us are humans. We, post-COVID, I think many of us, and I say us, are dealing with mental health issues. And it's the underlying scourge that we never talk about. Fear. We have marriages falling apart because of the kind of world we live in. It's always so interesting for me when I get close to customers or to colleagues and we actually really start chatting. I thought I had problems. When you hear about their kids having cancer and who knows what, then you realize these poor people. So for me, that's human-centered. The other thing I want to say is that the technology, if we do it right, can make us more human. Because who wants to do a 3-hour report on a Sunday night for the Monday morning meeting? We should move from report creators to report reviewers. Let the AI create the reports. People want to go, look, in every job has its shitty parts. You will never work for a Mother Teresa or a Red Cross or something and make money. But I would like to think if we alleviate those repetitive tasks and people can focus on what they're good at, which is normally linked to their passion, I would like to think that there can be more days in a week where you drive home feeling, I've done good today. I've helped people. And I know it sounds very philosophical, and I know we have businesses and KPIs and shareholders. I want to just end with this. It is possible, and I've seen it many times, to drive a highly profitable, successful business and at the same time have a business that's good for people, that gives them growth where they want to belong. I will not be told those two cannot work together. Glenn.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. Thank you very much, Johan. Brilliant. Thank you.
You're muted, David.
Thanks, Glenn. All right, there I am. So excited that I'm going to get to unmute myself. Russell, you've got a question or two for Johan. Please go ahead.
Yeah, for time's sake, because I see that we're running out of time, you've actually answered the questions that I did have in front of me, but I do want to tell you about an experience, and I'd like you to answer the experience. Just on Saturday, I was at a function that one of my club members, I'm part of Friday Club, one of my club members organized with a whole bunch of bands getting together, and she then had stalls with people that were selling goods, art and foods and stuff like that. Anyway, sitting, and she's a very good connector. She connects everybody with everybody. So I met a guy for the second time I've met him. And like normal conversations go, they went from the one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And then the conversation about AI came up. And he asked my opinion related to, he's got a son, which I think he said he's 13 years old. And how is his son going to find a job, because AI is going to take all the positions, layman's positions out there, which I don't agree with. But not being an expert in the field, I can only answer according to the limited knowledge I have. But according to what I believe, I'm like you. I believe that people will always, because I'm in sales, people will always buy from people. Yes, you do have the take-a-lots, but go and walk in the malls. There's still people buying from people. And I don't think you'll ever be able to take the human part out of it. But from an expert like yourself, how do you actually answer that question without getting too technical, just to give someone reassurance? Because I said to him, my example that I use is, I remember way back when mobile phones came out. and the whole big hype about mobile phones, and when the internet came out and the whole big hype about that, and the world was going to stand still because all of a sudden, our lives are changing. And yet what we've done as human species is we've just adapted, we've utilized, made the best out of what we could, and the rest we threw away. But I'd like your input on that.
Russell, this is seriously Scotch and cigars in 4 hours, because this is such a good topic. I'm going to try and be quick in my limited view. Somewhere between a very dystopian and a very utopian view, there's a balance. AI can do a lot of great things in education, healthcare, job creation, and the like. But the more I work in the field, the more I'm leaning towards some sort of a dystopian view, because the rate of change is so fast at the moment. AI can already do most of the knowledge work that most people do. We see now, even in America, they, like Bank of America and others, they are not letting people go, but they stopped recruiting. And the next phase will be, we've tested the AI and maybe we can let go of 10% of our workforce, which might be a mistake, again, because of those insights and experiences of those people. We do a lot of work in education, MBA students, universities, and the like. But my son, 12, tomorrow, little monster, I do his homework with him every afternoon or evening. And my question is just, in the information age, where everything I ever need, in the sense of any book ever written, anything humans have ever done, is essentially a click away on my smartphone. Why is education for 200 years built on memorizing crap, giving it back in the exam, and forgetting it the next day? So we've got when it comes to the future of our children work, we've got a fundamental shift needed in education. Now, that picture you see behind me there was that article I wrote in Business Day that said, I will not send my son to university. Now, I'm not against education, and if he wants to become a doctor, sure as hell he needs to go to university. I don't want him to operate on anyone. You know what's the best job he can have one day? Plumbing. It'll probably be a highly lucrative job. And here's the reason. We are tactile. We work with our hands. Yes, there's a lot of news about robots and Elon Musk's physical robots, but there'll be many years before robots can do with their hands what we can do. So caregiving, building stuff, working with things with your hands, which typically has been a lower value and income job, in this shift that we are going through, handwork will become more lucrative. And just to end off, and because it's such a big but relevant topic, Russell, what I said in that article is, I don't think when you are 18, you should choose a career because you know nothing. You should probably go work for 5 or 10 years, pay the rent, learn to deal with corporate nonsense. And even after 2 years, I can bet you will probably go do something else than you thought you would when you were a matric. So a lot of jobs will be lost. More jobs will be created, but problem solvers, handworking is the future of earning big money. My limited view.
Agreed. Just my last is not a question, is a statement, and I'm going to take the liberty of doing the following. David, forgive me. So for the last 3 weeks, I've been busy with Friday Club. I'm one of the chair people and the CEO of Friday Club. I've been doing a series with my club of In the Room 2031. And I'm using AI to say, okay, what does the business today have to do to be able to be in the room in 2031? So they triggered when you said looking into the future, use AI to look into the future. So I've got one question. Where are you based? And number 2, I'd like to invite you to come and have a chat at my Friday Club related to this topic. But I'll first want to have a coffee date with you and sit and chat to you. So where are you? Where are you based?
So I live in Centurion, but I'm 2 or 3 times a week in Sandton, Rosebank. So anywhere in pretty much Greater Joburg is good for me. Oh, there we go. Thank you, because I saw I put it in the chat for us only. But you can, and also you can get my details from David, Russell. It's always an honor for me. And you know, what I do, look, I do a lot of paid for speaking and stuff, but these sessions, and also where I met David, it's not part of billable work, but the questions people ask me and the comments they make is for me such a learning curve that it's highly beneficial for me to be at these kind of events, apart from the networking and stuff, because it's so easy in a certain area of expertise to become so narrow-minded and isolated that you need to hear what people are talking about. So ping me. I'd love to anytime. Thank you,
I
Russell.
will make you part of the bigger picture with all the clubs, not just mine, because I think what you're giving information is vital to the small business. And the thing is that the people that are involved at Friday Club are one-man bands, smaller organizations, not the big corporates. And they need all the help they can get to be able to survive in this world. But not just survive, but also thrive and also have something, not a magic wand, but something very close that can help them to think outside of their own little box, because that's what I'm picking up with my guys, is they're so consumed. And that's why I've changed the format where we sit around the table, and David's been there, where everybody has input on a discussion point, because they're coming from all these different value sets. So I'm definitely going to get hold of you, Johan. I appreciate your discussion. I thought we were going to have this big IA discussion today, and you come and you've actually taken all the nuts and bolts away and you've brought it back to real life people.
Thank you.
And I absolutely appreciate that, because we could have had a big discussion on AI and we would have all walked away with something. But I think there's a lot more value that I got from your discussion today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Russell. Appreciate it. So thank you.
Muted, unmute. I need AI help. Thank you, Russell. Thank you for that. Let's go to Wilhelm. Wilhelm obviously going to ask us some questions. Wilhelm, over to you.
Thank you, David. Yes, thank you, Johan. When we talk about this, my main thing is the people system. I focus on the people system. That is what the growth percolator is also all about, to see what the culture is about in companies. Are the culture ready to scale? Because everybody wants to scale, but the culture, the people, the human factor is not ready for scaling. And one of the things that I do is to test or to check the burnout temperature of people, the stress and all those things, their performance ability and so on. And that is where I really enjoy the AI, is to help people to stress less. Now, AI can stress people more because they are so stressed out about this technology and losing jobs and whatever. And I think things that you've mentioned that I liked is awareness. The words that stand out for me: awareness. Be aware of what's going on in your company, and that's what I do with a culture index quiz that I do to let just people understand, but what's going on in my company. Because as you've mentioned, it's all about people, and if people are okay, and if you then can distress people by helping with this jobs that the meetings that they do, the reports that they need to set up, and emails that they need to send, one can help people a lot in just taking that stress away and do the things that are really important. And the other thing that jump out of this, common sense. Just use your common sense. When you mention the fact that Elon Musk just turned the nuts, just do the thing. Use your common sense and not just use AI. And if then AI can help, yes, then it can help. And that's the thing with AI for me. It actually makes my dreams, it set wings to my dreams. The possibilities are there now that you can really do something that I only thought about and I wish I could, and now I can do it with AI. So one must really use that tool in the right way. But I love the fact that you've mentioned, listen guys, become aware of what's going on in your business and connect to the people factor, because it's all about us, about people. And you mentioned the fact that to connect with people. It's interesting. There's some heart energy. The moment when you connect with people, hearts already communicate with one another. And before you even say a word, you already know what this person is all about or not. But okay, let's get to the question that I want to ask you. Which areas of decision making should leaders be very careful not to hand over too casually to AI systems?
think only kind of operational, run-of-the-mill kind of decisioning. And we can expand what that is. But I think strategic decisions, future of your company decisions, and particularly financial decision-making. Don't let the AI do it. It can underscore it. The data can help you. But I would never, for instance, just as a banking customer, I never want my mobile app to start making payments on my behalf, as an example, because the thing can run wild. Now, imagine you're a business and suddenly there's R500 million paid to who knows what, because the AI decided it. So the operational run-of-the-mill kind of stuff, there are some areas where AI can really do a lot of great work. But the leadership based on the experience and insights underscored with the right kind of data, they should make decisions. Again, seeing the future. If you have enough data, I mean, I'm working with a large agricultural company at the moment. They have so many systems and so much data, amazing people. But they are looking at, for instance, this year, El Nino. How will the weather patterns, how will it impact the millions of hectares of fields that they manage through the farmers, satellite imagery and stuff. And now we start bringing in weather prediction patterns. We look at supply chain patterns and the like. So the question I almost want to ask people is, and again, at the risk of simplifying it and at the risk of that imagine we could part, what are the 3 or 4 things you wish you could magically know when you wake up every morning for your business? And then let's look at, is it possible with data? Can I see what will happen in a month from now? For instance, churn, especially if you have a large consumer-based business. There's so much info on our consumers that we can predict and model through human behavioral science who probably might churn or not, who is ripe for an upsell opportunity, for instance. So yeah, that's again a long question. I know our time is running out. Make the questions you should make as a boss and as a team. Don't outsource it to the AI. Let the AI support you to see patterns in data that we as humans are not able to see. But the future of your business and the care of people that work for you is a human leadership role, hopefully underscored by AI, not the other way around. Lalem.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thanks for that question, and thanks for that answer as well. Johan, it's time's running out here. We want to try and finish by the hour. So I've got one question that I think is quite relevant to the people out there, and I see there are a number of questions from all the participants and all the listeners. Thank you for those. Johan will go through and answer each one of those questions after this show. So please, we're not going to answer. We don't have time now to answer it. Johan's time is very, very valuable. So my question is, what are the 3 things leaders should put in place for responsible AI?
Well, understand AI regulation. Currently, we've got nothing in South Africa. We've got POPIA, privacy, which I call a bulldog without teeth. Because, what's the penalty for a data breach under POPIA? It's 10 million rand fine and or 10-year imprisonment for the directors. Have you seen people go to prison? TransUnion, Transnet, Dis-Chem. So if we can't even regulate, yeah, most of our government, no. So, but understand, because we are going to get more and more regulation in South Africa, hopefully. And I was part of the team advising government on it. 6 months ago, we gave them our recommendations, and they are still trying to keep the lights on, which is the first industrial revolution problem, as well as a working rail system and ports. We can't even talk about AI in this country yet. We should. But upskill yourself on regulations. Look at the EU's AI Act, which is world-class regulation. Now, by the way, if you deal with any company in the EU, you don't have to be there, but if you deal with any companies or consumers, you should comply to the EU AI Act. The penalties are massive, and they have started dishing it out. But apart from that, I think the framework of the EU AI Act will form a big part of the regulation in Africa and South Africa. Explainable AI. In other words, you have to be able, if you've made a credit decision on a customer and they question how the AI made the decision, you as a business owner should be able to show them how. At this stage, I don't know how people are going to do it. So be familiar with where we are going with regulation. Upskill yourself as much as possible about this technology specific to your domain of expertise, how it can help you as an individual, how it can help your execs and your business, keep on reading. I mean, I used to read a book a week. There's no way I can do it anymore. But my AI summarizes 5 books a week for me. I just need to find the book. So I keep on reading, keep on upskilling. There's no room for laziness. And the other one, which it's going to sound a bit maybe airy-fairy, become a better person. Become a better leader. We all have mistakes and faults and flaws, but be that person that people say, I wish I could go and work for you again because you were amazing. You inspired me. There were some hard conversations if needed, but you were one of the few bosses who were not a total arsehole. I would love for people to say that about me one day. Those are the 3, I think, David.
Yeah, I think that last one is very, very important. And, when I was in corporate working for Sun International, I remember the various different leaders that I was under and their leadership qualities. And there was one gentleman, and he might be listening, I hope he is. His name was Garth Collins. I tell you what, I would do anything for that man because he was basically one of the best leaders out. And one of the things that I remember that he did, which was incredible, after any board meeting or any meeting in any boardroom that there was or meeting room, he would go around and push in all the chairs, take all the cups and put them onto the side on the board. And he was like, the acting CEO of Sun International, and he was doing that. And it was a very simple thing, but it showed me that if he could do it, then I must do it. And that was just a huge learning for me. So Garth, if you're listening, thank you for that. And so guys, time has run out, but I'm going to quickly ask each of the co-hosts. I see Russell had to go, unfortunately. Glenn, what is your biggest takeaway from today, and what are you going to do what are you going to put in action?
Sure. Currently, I am using AI, typically ChatGPT and that type of thing, but I am very careful about how I use it. I've already seen companies making big mistakes, major mistakes. But anyway, I want to say something, make a statement here, and it might sound a bit strange, but something that for me comes out very strongly over here, and that is simply stay true to yourself. Stay true to yourself. Be very, very careful that you don't allow AI to take over, if you know what I mean. Stay true to yourself. That's it for me. But thanks, Johan. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Wilhelm, yourself?
Yeah, as I said, awareness. Now, become really aware of where you are, what you do, and it's staying true to yourself and all those things. And become aware of the possibilities. But don't let AI be everything in your life. It's a tool that you can use, and but be still human, and use common sense as well. Thank you.
I think my biggest takeaway is actually the fact that to become a better person, but using AI, and my biggest takeaway was what you were talking about, was actually creating a prompt that will quickly assemble information about your industry and do that on a weekly basis and get that information and read up on it, because that will keep one up to date of what's going on. And I really appreciate that, because that's something I'm going to do, and it will help me in my business. Johan, I'm going to ask you to do a wrap up, and if I may share that information online, and then also afterwards to go along and answer all the questions that there are. There are quite a number that have come up.
Yeah, a lot. And I've just scanned. There's some really good questions, David, and thank you, everyone. And I'd love to come back to all of you as soon as I can over the next few days, me and my AI. But what I just loved, even when we've met the other day, David, and from this conversation, is I love it when people are passionate, when you see they are good people, you can trust them. And the questions were brilliant. So I feel, after some talks, I feel really tired. But these kind of talks, I can go on for 3 more hours, guys. I loved it. And I look forward to our future collaboration. Me and you, David, with this thing, but also anyone else would love to reach out and see how we can maybe do something together.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And thanks for your time, and thanks for your wisdom and just your knowledge and sharing and the basics of going back to basics. I think that's what it's all about. And I loved Elon Musk's story. And move the printer closer.
That's the only thing you will remember. Keep with that.
Move the printer closer. I think that's classic. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thanks to all the listeners. I really appreciate. I see there've been quite a few on. And obviously this is available. There will be a newsletter that will come out. And next week, we'll see if there will be. I'm actually, don't tell anyone. I'm going on honeymoon. Don't tell anyone. Shh.
Model top.
All right. Take care, everyone. See you next.
Okay.
Possibly the week after next. Take care and
God bless.
have a good week. Cheers.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome to Vision 2026. We give expertise a voice. A platform where bold ideas, lived expertise, and real experience shape how we grow, lead, and create impact in 2026 and beyond. Meet your host, David Bauer, bid architect and strategic thinker, who helps leaders turn complexity into clarity and gives business leaders a voice that wins in the real world. Marna Rowitz, seasoned strategist and business leader, helping people protect what they've built and grow with clarity, resilience, and foresight. Glenn Leese Jones, Map 4 life coach with decades of experience guiding people and entrepreneurs to find purpose, set direction, and map their journey to meaningful success. Russell John Fagan, sales mastery trainer, who brings practical sales insight and transformational strategies that help individuals and businesses increase their influence and performance. Wilhelm Lombard, human systems and team performance coach focused on helping organizations strengthen team alignment, leadership energy, and human systems, so people are ready for growth before growth exposes weaknesses. Together, we bring unique perspectives and deep expertise so you can think bigger, act bolder, and make 2026 your breakthrough year. Hit that subscribe button now and follow Vision 2026 for your weekly dose of expert insight, future-focused conversations, and real-world perspectives shaping South Africa. This is Vision 2026, giving expertise a voice.